What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Dave's Man Cave. I'm going to do a budget watch review today. And I mean budget like super budget. Um, like two people going to Five Guys for a hamburger kind of budget. It's really cheap. So, yes, I like the finer things like a lot of people. You'll like nicer stuff. By the way, hit like and hit subscribe. Just click those buttons. Costs you nothing. Helps a brother out. Anyway, back to the topic. I like nicer things, but I love bargains, especially if you're getting value. You're getting something good that actually works well and is fairly robust. It's nice to have the nicer, expensive things, right? I'm wearing a watch that took the bracelet off, so this version would only be around $4,200. But, it's a several $1,000 watch. And I like that, but I'm not going to wear that to the beach. I'm not going to jump in the pool with it or even shower with it because I don't want the nice calf skin or whatever leather to get all, gunked up. I don't want to get scratches on it, with sand and stuff, because even though you got sapphire glass on the front and back, stainless steel is in watches is not hardened like a knife blade. So while it's polished and beautiful and shiny and all that stuff, it's not a really hard metal. You can scratch it really easily with sand and stuff. And when you have all kinds of nice machining and all these beautiful textures and things, you want to keep a watch like that nice, right? So yeah, you want to have, if you can afford it, you want to have some nice watches and cool conversation pieces and an interesting story. But you're not going to wear that all the time. You're just not. There's situations where this is not the right tool for the job. And I look at it the same way with knives and stuff like that, right? You can go buy a Benchmade bug out. And one like this, I think today these things are going for like around 175 bucks with tax, and they're only going up from there depending on the blade finish, handle material. You spend up to $300. Now, I did a review recently on the CJRB Acacia or something like that. Around the same size, around the same specs, different steel and things like that, but this is $30. And you can say, well, the Benchmade's nicer, but I could buy 5 of these for the price of one of these, almost 6 of these for the price of one of these. So yes, is this nicer? Is it a nicer material? Is the brand maybe have a little more prestige? Sure. But am I getting 6 times the value out of this than I would get out of this knife that is a similar size, similar nice smooth blade? In fact, this one's on ceramic ball bearings and this one's on bronze phosphor washers. So you could say this is actually an upgrade in some ways, but around the same size, weight, same comfort, concealability, similar slicing capabilities. So I like a bargain. I like a good quality piece, and I have, whether it be guns, whether it be car, whatever, I have some of the more quality pieces, like I do, but then I like bargains. And sometimes, there's a knife like this that's good to carry, but if I know I'm going to beat the shit out of the knife, I'm probably going to take this one. Why? Because I think it'll hold up just as well for the most part. And if I do break it or I do damage it or scuff it up, I'm not as upset about scratching a $30 knife or breaking the tip off than I would be on a knife that's going to cost me a lot more money to replace. So they both have their place in the world, right? Watches, I think, are the same. I'll wear this sometimes around because it's casual and dress. It can do both. But I would wear that to a wedding. I would wear that to a job interview, nice dinner, going to the office. I'll wear a nice watch. And then there's other times where I'm jumping in the pool. I'm going to the beach. I'm in another country and I don't want to maybe make myself a target for getting mugged on the street or something like that. Actually, not even out of the country. You can get that in Atlanta or New York. Or I'm going hunting, or you're going to play airsoft, or I'm doing a track, whatever. And you're like, you know what? The right tool for the job in that case is going to be a G-Shock. I don't have to worry about breaking this. It's got 200-meter water resistance. It's largely plastic, or even this one that's a G-Shock. And while it does have a metal case, it's easier to replace the bracelet on this. I can replace that stainless steel cover that's on top relatively cheaply. The bracelet for this one, the bracelet alone is $1,000, and that's why the bracelet is sitting in the humidor, the cigar box that this thing actually came in, this beautiful giant wooden, probably a $200 box the damn thing came in, because I don't want that I can get this one to fit me a little bit better than a butterfly clasp bracelet that doesn't have micro adjusts. But also, I don't want to scratch and scuff up $1,000 bracelet. That bracelet costs more than all these other watches combined. So, you got to pick the right tool for the job, right? But I do like G-Shocks. I think everybody should have G-Shocks. But there are some watches that Casio makes that aren't G-Shocks per se, but they're very G-Shock-ish. And they come in super cheap. Now, this I would not say is one of those. This is a little bit lighter build. This is a very cool watch. It's an iconic watch, and I've got a video review of this. This is the, not the Casio, it's the Casino Royale watch, so they call it the Casio Royale or whatever it is. Royale with cheese. So you've got, watches like that, but it's cheap. It was like this, you can get them in black resin for 19 bucks. This was $36 for the stainless steel, and it's hollow links, and it's very lightweight, and this actually isn't stainless steel. It's just plastic made to look like it, but it's actually a nice little watch and a world timer, and it's got a cool display, and it actually has its own interesting character and history. So, what if you don't have almost $200 to spend, or $180 or whatever to spend on a knife, but you need a good serviceable knife that'll work? Well, same thing with watches. You may not have this or want to spend that much money on a freaking watch. You might not want to spend $275 on a watch. You might not want to spend $100 on a watch. I know a lot of people out there, I can justify it and have the means to buy a watch, as most of you watching this do. But some people are going to be like, this watch tells the same time that does. And it does the same time as this one, or a Rolex. I'm not spending that. People have different priorities. I just like watches. So, what one are we here to talk about today? This is this model number. Rather than me try to read it all out and alpha this and all that, you can pause and you can see the number. I will also have a link in the description. What this is this kind of more bridges the gap between the inexpensive, but still 100-meter water resistant, but not really beefy at all, kind of more, not fragile, but not as robust as G-Shocks. This one, I believe, is going to split the difference. So we're going to take this off of here. We're going to go through the model. We're going to go through the specs. And what is really cool about this watch, now if you go to their website, you will see that this watch is listed for $42.95. However, use my link on Amazon, $24.60 shipped, less than 25 bucks. If I go to Culver's with my wife and get two value, that's a very subjective term these days, but if I go there and get two combo meals, I'm out the door for 25 bucks, easily, if not more. So when you put it into perspective, can you get a good quality watch? The packaging, nothing crazy, nothing to write home about. It's just their typical lower end box. It's not going to be the metal tin that the G-Shocks and stuff come in. But what do you get for $25? Is it even worth it? Well, here's what you get. We're going to go through the specs real quick. This is the AE-2000W-1AV Victor. Okay? Roll back if you want to see that number. You can go look it up and get the link off of my description on Amazon. So what do you get? 10-year battery. Uses a CR2025, I believe, which is a larger wafer-sized battery. It's similar to the batteries like the CR2032s and stuff like that I use in the red dots on some of the optics for my rifles. So it's a larger battery that you get a decade of use. Now, if you're using the battery all the time, 10 years is probably optimistic, but I bet you get a good 7 or 8 years out of it. 200-meter water resistance. So this is 100. This is only 100. G-Shock's 200. So you're already now getting into that area. It's multi-layered. You've got your stainless steel on the back with 4 screws to get to the battery and stuff like that. You have your typical resin straps. Like the G-Shock, these don't fold out. These are kind of molded and connected in. And so when you drop the watch, you have your bezel here guards. It actually, this is mineral crystal, not plastic. So this is mineral crystal, so it's a little bit harder. Not as good as as, sapphire, but when you want a watch that's robust, this is sapphire. This will be very hard to scratch. Its hardness is next to diamond. However, you could hit that and crack it or shatter it much easier than mineral glass. But it's not going to just, scratch by looking at it the way some of the plastic screens do, like on a Swatch. So for a watch that is more about durability, I am fine with mineral glass. Might get a scratch or two over the years. Hey, it's character, it's battle wounds. What you won't have is it scratching the shit out of it, and you shouldn't have to worry about cracking or shattering it. So you got 200-meter water resistance. That's pretty stout. Jump in the pool, go do some light scuba with it, water sports, all that stuff, you'd be good to go. You have, it says the face design resembles an air pit cockpit instrument panel. Kind of. We'll go through it. You got your 10-year battery life. You have world time. You have a backlight. Now, it's not the blue Indiglow like some of the watches have. It's going to be very similar to this one. Now, I will say this one has 2 LEDs, so it lights up the whole damn thing a good bit better. But does this work in the dark if you needed to see the time? Yeah, absolutely. We'll set that for 3 seconds, which I believe you just hit and hold one of these buttons for like 3 seconds or something. I don't know. This is going through our different time zones and all that stuff. There's a way to go. Maybe I have to go into the settings and set that. But you can have up to, I think, like 5 different time zones. You can have world time. You got 5 alarms, stopwatch that goes to 1/100th of a second, and 5 alarms. And like most G-Shocks and most Casios, digitals, you scroll through your different options. So that's showing UTC time. There is the alarm. It is set for off. We could turn that on and change it. You have your stopwatch. So I got my start. Oh no, that's a countdown timer for 24 hours. And then reset. You come over, the next one should be my stopwatch. So I got 1/100th of a second. Reset. That's a very cool little watch. I'm not sure, was that Tokyo time? No, probably, maybe it's Japanese time it's set for. So anyway, we'll do some close-ups of it. It's nice and lightweight. The thing weighs 60 grams. It's a 47 millimeter across with a 52 mil lug, 16 mil, I'm sorry, lug to lug, not the lug distance, the lug width. 16 mils thick, so it's a little thick, but this thing is super light. If I put it up against the Casio, it's just a scooch smaller, and it's certainly smaller than this brute. Now, won't take the impacts and the beatings of this, but I have a feeling these are going to be fairly shock resistant. There's no moving parts. I mean, this one is shock resistant, and it's got, a quartz movement because it's analog and digital. This is all digital. You got to whack a digital watch pretty hard to get it to have a problem. So you don't have Bluetooth on this. You got your alarms. You got some graphic things going on around with the seconds and things. Let's see. It's resin, combination of steel. We got the dimensions, 52.2 lug to lug, 47.7 across. Doesn't look 47, to be honest. I mean, this is a 43, and it looks smaller than that. That's really kind of weird. I'm wondering how they're measuring that, because that's a 43 mil watch, and it looks exactly the same. They're saying this is 47. I don't feel like that's accurate. How can that be? They really look pretty much the same size to me. I don't know. Going by the website. Yeah. So you can simultaneously track 4 different cities. You got 31 time zones made up of 48 cities in coordinated universal time, daylight savings time on off, home city, world city time swapping, countdown timer, LED light, full auto calendar up to the year 2099, accuracy 30 plus 30 seconds a month. So that's as much as 6 minutes per year. Pretty good for, that's decent for quartz. It's not a Bulova 262 kilohertz movement by any means, where it's going to be a fraction of that, but whatever, half a minute, up to half a minute a month. It may be less than that. You could turn the tone on and off. So if you want it to beep every hour, you can do that. You can change how long the button stays, the light stays on. And I think usually there's a feature in a lot of the G-Shocks anyway. I'll have to go through the manual and look at the settings for this, where when you tilt the watch towards you, it automatically turns the timer on, the light on. So you can measure split time, first, second place times, elapsed time. A lot of features. I mean, there's a lot of good usable functionality. It's your typical bioresin, whatever stuff. Technically, all watches like that are bioresin, plastic made from petroleum, bio. It's organically based, so technically it sounds fancy, but that they all qualify for that. I like that, like the G-Shocks, you know, some people don't like that you can't, you know, the way that these are molded into and the way they connect, you can't lay it flat like you could with like a leather strap or something like that. But that is part of the protection. So if you drop the watch, it hits and springs. Same thing here. So it helps with impact. If you drop it on the face, you've got that's recessed about 2 millimeters. Don't worry, we're gonna do some close-up shots for the people that say I move the watch around too much. We'll get that. But you've got a nice recessed lens there, the glass. And then on the back, it's steel, but you don't want to dent it or anything like that. So that's why they do that. They make this springy. So even if you dropped it from a high, 10 feet off the ground, it's going to hit and boing, and then spin off to the side. You might scratch up the other stuff, but at the end of the day, it's helping protect the watch. I like that the buttons are nice and rubber coated, and they've got a nice texture to them. You can feel them in the dark. I like this because it's not massive. I mean, this is a fantastic watch, and it's easy to read, and it's just a great tank of a watch. When I was down, I'm trying to think, was it Aruba? No, I think it was Bonaire or Curacao, one of those islands. I forget which one I went to the beach on. But, we're out there snorkeling for a couple hours and stuff like that. This is what I wore. I didn't wear my Longines dive watch, even though that's a 300-meter dive watch, because, again, I didn't want sand scratching it. I wore something like this. But this is kind of big and bulky. It's light, but that's a big old watch on your wrist. That's a very big watch. This is nice because a lot of people don't like G-Shocks or those styles of watches because they tend to be so damn big. This one really isn't. Like, that is it's light. I love the black and the blue. I think it's a really cool looking watch. And these are actual screws. So if you wanted to replace, I'm sure there's Seiko Mod. There's also a Casio Mod website where you can buy like actual like titanium cases and bracelets and upgrade. You can put a bunch of money into one of these $25 watches or $36 watches. And I have a feeling you could do the same here. You can, if you gouge this up, you can unscrew that and take it off and replace it. And that might be a $10 or $12 part, if that. You might want to get a nice titanium one, or maybe one in red to really make it pop or something. There's all kinds of options. There's a lot of things. And it's kind of cool to be able to take a watch that has so many options to begin with, but now the aftermarket support is out there to where you can go and mod it. You're not going to take a watch like this or a Tudor or something or a Breitling and start modding it. You're going to destroy the value and risk jacking it up. But on a watch that was $24.60 shipped to my door, yeah, why not? I could maybe put a different band on, put a different guard on it. I mean, I don't know, you can do all kinds of stuff. Maybe there's metal bands you could put this thing on. I'm sure there are all kinds of stuff. If I find a link, I'll throw that in the description too. Really, really cool watch. Awesome, lightweight, small. It feels better on the wrist than this, honestly. This one you could tell when you pick it up, it feels, it's so light because the links are solid or are rolled, they're hollow. It looks nice, but this is plastic, not stainless. So the finish there is not exactly the same. But this, I think, even though it's less expensive than this, I would say there's certain elements of seeing the globe, the map of the world there. There's certain elements of this, I think, that maybe look a little nicer, a little more high-tech and geeky. But if you just want a nice watch with 200-meter water resistance, which will take most of the things you're going to throw at it, I wouldn't go cliff diving with it. I wouldn't go real deep scuba diving with it. Have the right tool for the job for that, But this is fantastic. I like this a lot. I'm going to wear this today. I'm not going to put my Carrero y Sobrinos back on. I'm going to put that back in the case with these other bad boys, and I'm going to wear this, and I'm going to wear it for a couple days and see how I like it. It's super comfortable. I think it looks good. I do have to go set the time because it's NYC. Yeah, I turn the daylight savings time off. You can set your different time zones, so you get your world. That's time 1, time 2, times 3, times 4. So right now it's set for Tokyo, which doesn't make sense. Oh, maybe that's 1:15 a.m. That would make sense. Yeah, 12-hour difference. So I'm gonna have to go through and set this and all that kind of good stuff. But very, very cool watch. I wouldn't mind it if it had an extra LED like this one. I think this one definitely lights up better. And I don't mind the amber. There's a certain retro, while the blue glow, which, what does this one have? Yeah, that one I think looks a little more modern. I think on some of these more retro classic Casio designs, I don't mind the amber. I think it gives it that kind of cool kind of vibe to it. I need to set that for 3 seconds. But here's your close-up shots. It's a good looking watch. I'm looking at this going, how the frig did they sell this for $25 and make a profit? But I guess they do. I mean, very, very nice. It's kind of floored me how good this actually is. I mean, I know to expect from G-Shocks. They're just built like tanks. These are tool watches with lots of technology packed in, and some of them are set by an atomic clock through a radio signal, and you got solar power, and they're just go anywhere, do anything watches. And then they've started classing it up a bit with the steel designs. This is the hybrid steel. It's plastic underneath with steel covers and a steel strap. They've got the all metal designs, but those start jumping up towards $500 and up. They've got titanium ones that go up into the thousands. But there's something to be said about just having a really cool, basic watch that's not tied to your phone. You don't have to wind it. You don't have to change batteries that often. It would be cool if this was Bluetooth, but then it would jump the price up. So here, if I got to throw a $4 battery in there every 8 to 10 years, whatever, it's 4 screws. Take it off, put the battery in, make sure your rubber seal, your gasket is in place properly and no cracks or anything. Put it back on. It's a 5-minute job. Now you're good for another 8 to 10 years for $25 frickin'. Fantastic. Anyway, everybody, have a good day.